Hello friends, welcome to Nifty technical and option chain analysis. So before we start our option chain analysis, let's see what Nifty has done today. So as over here we can see that yesterday Nifty closed at around 11,313, and today if we see that Nifty opened at around 11,388, it means almost 75 points of gap up opening. Now, as we have yesterday discussed that 11,400 is going to be a very strong support for the Nifty. So if we see over here that the first 5 minute candle, Nifty made today's high that was around at 11,399, almost 11,400. And over here we can see that Nifty faced the resistance and finally Nifty started the downfall. Now, if we see the 5 minute candle of time 12, then we can see that Nifty made a low of 11, around 11,264. Now, if we see the 15-minute candlestick chart and if we go the 2 days back, then over here we can see that this was the strong support for the Nifty, and that's why if we see over here that Nifty tries to go upside. But finally the downfall started, and if we see the candle of time 12:55, which is closed below this support line, and again if we see the downfall started and the intensity of selling was too high. Now our if we see that 11,200 was our second support for 4th of October. So if we see over here that Nifty tried to get a support, but as we have discussed that intensity was selling was too high, and finally Nifty close around it 11,163. So yesterday we have discussed that if the intensity of selling was too high, then 11,100 is going to be a very strong support. So if we see over here that Nifty couldn't break that 11,100 and finally closed at 11,163. Now let's go to the option chain and we'll try to find out support and resistance for the 6th of sorry 7th of October, as the 5th and 6th is a holiday. So we'll go to the option chain and we'll try to find out support and resistance for the 7th of October on Monday. So as we can see over here, Nifty closed at 11,174. So we'll start our analysis at strike price 11,200. First of all, we'll study the puts to find out support, and then we'll study the resistance, calls to find out the resistance for the 6th of October. So now let's go to 11,200 strike price and let's see what we have over here. So over here we can see that net change is plus 39, and the change in open interest is almost 1.8 lakh contracts, and the cumulative open interest is almost 10 lakh contracts. So it means the put buyers bought the contracts at strike price 11,200. Now if we see over here, the difference between change in open interest and open interest is almost 9 lakh contracts or 8 lakh contracts. It means the put sellers or put writers who sold the contracts at this strike price 11,200, they have not unwind their positions. It means they still think that Nifty will go above the strike price 11,200 in the coming days. That's why they have not unwind their position at this strike price. Now, if we see further down at 11,100, we can see the net change is again the 90 plus 19, and the change in open interest is 2.4 lakh contracts, and the cumulative open interest is almost 6 lakh contracts. It means again the put buyers bought the contracts at this strike price 11,100. Now, if we see further down at 11 strike price 11,000 over here, we can see the change in open interest is almost 2.1 lakh contracts, and the cumulative open interest is 10 lakh contracts. And again, the net change is plus 7.8 over here. Now, if we see over here, the highest change in open interest is at strike price 10,900. So over here we can see the change in open interest is almost 4.7 lakh contracts, and the cumulative open interest is 9.8 lakh contracts. So it means the call put buy put writers or put seller are selling the contracts in a below positions. Again, this indicates the negative trend in Nifty. So if we see yesterday's option chain, then the put traders or put seller selling the contracts at strike price 11,100. Reason being the highest change in open interest in yesterday's option chain was at this strike price 11,100. Now it is shifted from 11,100 to 10,900, which indicates again the negative trend in Nifty. So after studying this strike price, if we see the still the highest change in open interest, sorry, cumulative open interest is at strike price 11,200. So 11,200 is going to be our first support for 6th of October. And in case Nifty tried to break this 11,200, then 11,100 is going to be our second support. And over here we can see that at strike price 11,000, the change in open cumulative open interest is almost 10 lakh contracts, which is in a decent number. So in case if Nifty break this 11,100, then 11,000 is going to be our very strong support for the 6th of October. Now let's go to the call side and we'll try to find out resistance for the 6th of October. So if we see at strike price 11,200, we can see the net change is minus 116, and the net change in open interest is almost 6.7 lakh contracts, and the cumulative open interest is 8.4 lakh contracts. It means most of the contracts has been added freshly today. And as the net change is minus 116, it means the call writers or call seller sold the contracts at this strike price. Now, if we see further down at 11,100, we can see the change in open interest is 1.1 lakh contracts, and the cumulative open interest is 1.3 lakh contracts. And as the net change is minus 137, it means again the call writer call seller sold the contracts at this strike price. But if we see the quantity of contracts at the at strike price 11,100, then it's very low. So the call writers or call seller are selling the contracts in a above strike price. Reason being they still think that Nifty can sustain above that strike price, which is 11,100. Now if we see further down, if we see above side at 11,300, we can see the change in all open interest is almost 14 lakh contracts, and the cumulative open interest is almost 19 lakh contracts. So this is a very big number. So 11,300 is going to be our first resistance for the 6th of October. Now, if we see further down at 11,400, we can see the change in open interest is almost 1 million records, and the change cumulative open interest is almost 22 lakh records. This is again a very big number of contracts. So 11,400 is going to be our second strong resistance for the 6th of October. And if we see further down at 11,500, we can see the change in open interest is almost 11 lakh contracts, and the cumulative open interest is almost 24 lakh contracts. So again this is going to be a very strong resistance, which so on the 6th of October I think this will be very difficult for Nifty to break this 11,500. So after studying this option chain, if we want to bound the Nifty in a range, then according to my analysis, this is going to be 11,000 to 11,400. So again, it is just my analysis. Do your own analysis before making any trade, because whatever the profit or loss you will make, that will be yours. Thank you friends for watching this video, and if you like it, please subscribe our channel and hit the like button. Thank you friends.